But I want to suggest that this cosmic algorithm, this divine pattern, this word or logos, and they're all interchangeable, is the evolutionary pattern itself. This is the master key from the womb and the mind of the Holy One, right from the beginning of creation, emerges, is let loose upon creation, this evolutionary pattern, which repeated itself in molecules and cells, organisms, plants, animals, and humans. And so the first century Christians, the ones who were closest to Jesus, called him the Christ, identified him with all of that I just described, because he just had such incredible openness, maybe unprecedented openness. So what we're suggesting here is that Jesus evolved, and this is in no way minimizes who Jesus was to say this. As a matter of fact, it dignifies Jesus. This is what makes Jesus divine. And it's what makes us want to follow Jesus, whom we call the Christ in human form. We want to follow the one that's so open to this evolutionary process that he never stopped growing. This is what it means to be Christian. This is what we're playing with at Canadian Memorial. Now, this can seem abstract, but I invite you to look at your own life. And ask yourself if this evolutionary dynamic is not the most fundamental dynamic at play in your life. To give you, an example from my own life, I was satisfied for the first 22 years or so just being a jock, right? The girls seemed to like it. I won lots of awards. It worked for me. And then out of nowhere comes unbidden this question of what is the meaning of my life? There's got to be more than being a jock. My friends thought I'd gone off the deep end. But I ask you, where does this intuition of more come from? My life wasn't in any particular difficulty. Just, what's the meaning of life came to me. That's interesting. And so I became a born-again Christian. And after about 3 years, I said to myself, there's got to be more than this. Nothing wrong with being a jock, nothing wrong with being a born-again Christian, but that evolutionary intuition that there was more kept coming. And so I moved, I evolved, became a so-called progressive, liberal Christian, and when I got to that, I said, this isn't really doing it for me. There's got to be more. Nothing wrong with any of that. But I sensed it didn't really get to the heart of the matter. And you see what I'm doing here? I'm just talking about one line of intelligence, spiritual line of intelligence. You can trace this in your own life. Now, you can add to that cognitive, trace your own cognitive development, your own moral development, your own aesthetic development, your sense of beauty, your own self-development, your own values line development. All of these seem to just want to evolve towards increased complexity, to handle new life conditions. Because we seem to be going, don't we, towards greater fullness of being and greater freedom of being. So first we disentangle Jesus and the Christ. Then celebrate that Jesus was the one who was supremely open to this evolutionary pattern, the Logos, this Christ, this mind of the Christ. Far from being shocked that Jesus' life was an evolutionary journey, it's the very foundation of our allegiance. You want to follow someone like that.